was sitting here ready to go and I didn't have a clock out. All right. I've got segment one. DJ is here. And actually, I have to talk less today because you've got a show you have to record in the studio, right? After this.
Yeah, but we still have an hour to do this.
Okay. I was going to say, I get a little chatty sometimes. Let's see.
We still have an hour.
But I mean, how do you not talk about Lloyd Austin? Gosh almighty. All right, I'm good to go. Barb, how are you?
I'm ready.
I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate, and it does it with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. She is an author. Barb's also a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, great to be talking with you. Kick off a new year here now. We air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday, and if you can't listen to the entire show, remember it's always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just put it in a search engine on one of the podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, etc. You'll be able to find it there. What are we going to be talking about this week?
Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is what's happening in the real estate market. It's really interesting how quickly things change from boom to bust. I'd say we're in the middle. We might be booming a little bit in 2024, so I can't wait to get into that. We're also going to talk about what home sellers most want from their own real estate agents when selling a home. And then one of my favorite topics is, what are you going to do? The top reasons why a house is not selling, and what can you do about it? Because we get questions about this every week in our office, people calling, asking for our help if they have their home on the market or had their home on the market and it's just not moving. And sometimes it's not their fault. In fact, most of the time it's not their fault. And then the very last topic is a fun one, is the top things that home sellers love to get from buyers in their offers. And as always, I love talking about our hot new listings. Sure.
Great hot new listings. Barb, so as people are busy right now for the holidays, getting into the new year, this is a great time for folks to plan their next year. What are your sources telling you about where the real estate market is heading this year?
Well, right now, Richard, start of a new year, the rates dropped down at the end of 2023, a good 0.5%. But for some reason, the buyers weren't buying it. So the end result was that half the home sellers in this current market have reduced their prices to get a sale. Now, what does that mean? Today I just walked a client through a pricing strategy. And I said, look, if you look at historic sales, similar homes are at a price higher than what we're seeing right now. So the thing to do when you're in that situation is make sure that you price the home, what I call very realistically, versus looking back and saying, oh, my neighbor got so much more, because it may not work. And you have to focus on all the factors: condition of the home, what does your competition look like? You have to look at similar sales because you have to prove the value. But here's the problem: with the rate still being high and the fewer available buyers in the market, you have to be priced right and you have to be marketed right. And buyers are extremely picky. The good news is we're going to see inventory creep up a little bit more this year. I think there's going to be some people more willing to sell their house. You know, they kind of held on to their homes in the past year or two when they saw the rates go up, just because it was unaffordable for them to go to the next step. But we found solutions, and I think it'll be okay. So what we will see with more inventory, meaning available homes, will be more choices for buyers, more competition for sellers, but we'll also see more pending sales. So I did a little graph. I looked back at the same time a year ago at the statistics, just to see where we're at, what happened on the year. And I was surprised at the numbers that I came up with. First of all, in terms of the median and average price, the median price was very close to the same. The average price did go up about 4%. So prices are going up from where they were back when the Fed initially stepped on the gas with interest rates. Now, there's lots of rumors. I heard on the news today that they're probably going to maybe cut interest rates. The Fed may cut the interest rates maybe at this next meeting, which would be great. And if we see rates go down, particularly watch for it if you go with a 5 in front of it, even 5.9, it's going to cause buyers to really jump on it and say, all right, this is my chance. I'm going to get in and buy now. One thing that kind of surprised me is that the average days on the market went up substantially. It went from 40-ish days a year ago to 100 days. Now, that days on market number has to do with the homes that are selling. There's a certain percentage of homes that don't sell, right? Or they take it off the market or they wait. And the number of price reductions is actually reduced from a year ago. And a lot of that has to do, if you look back at what happened in December of 2022, we had just come off the fastest rise in interest rates ever in our history. And everybody was still kind of, aligned with prices that we saw when the rates weren't high. So what happened was we did see a lot of people having to adjust their prices just to get their homes sold. But we're still seeing about half of the home sellers reducing their price right now. When I did this exercise this morning with this client, we took a hard look at what's available. And it doesn't have to be an identical type of home, similar size maybe, but within 2 miles, sold in the last 90 days. So we looked at those. We also looked at any kind of floor plan, what's available in that price range. So that question is, what does your competition look like? Really, really important information. And you wouldn't believe how many home sellers I speak with that when they say that they sat down with their former agent who did not sell their home, they never went over any of this stuff with them, which is just shocking to me. But when you go through these exercises, you have to really carefully look at, okay, how am I going to compete with the current homes on the market right now? And we found that some people had started way high and very slowly walked the price down. And the net result was they netted less money when it finally did sell. You're better off being very more realistically out of the gate and not having that pain point of slowly walking the price down. And even the National Association of Realtors did a study on that and found that if you do that, if you slowly walk the price down, you're going to net less money. Average days on market has gone up, but the rents are expensive too. So I think we're kind of at a point right now where if somebody's thinking of buying a home, yes, their payment is probably going to be higher than rent, but they're going to own it. They're going to have an asset that is going to go up in value versus just throwing your money away to your landlord. So that's why home sellers right now really have to have all of what I call the 4 Ps absolutely correct, meaning prepare your home, try to make it look as nice as possible, pick the right agent. That's absolutely critical because there are some agents that don't really look hard into how to position the home and pricing, how to help a seller prepare, and how to market it appropriately to attract all the buyers. And that's the promotion part, which is absolutely critical. And then if you'd like to get a report on tips on what to do to get your home ready for sale, you can go to my website, barbhasthebuyers.com, and click on the green button that says free reports. And there's all kinds of reports on there. The one I'm featuring for this segment is called the top 7 tips to get your house ready to sell for top dollar. Go to barbhasthebuyers.com or call us at 719-301-3900. But in general, what we've seen in the past 6 months has been a pretty good drop in prices. But if you compare it across the whole year, it's a net increase of 4%. It's kind of weird numbers, but basically that's what's going on. So keep an eye on interest rates. If we see them drop, buyers, you better get out there and jump on the homes that you like. And sellers, get your homes on the market because it's going to be a good time to do it. Also keep an eye on rates. Right now, they're at 6.75%. If we see them come down into the low sixes, I think we'll see a drop in inventory because buyers are going to be snapping it up. And you got to think about new construction as well. Brand new homes are very appealing for buyers. Why? Because everything's new. Many times they don't have to do any kind of upgrading and improvements. Sometimes some builders actually are including everything. I mean, air conditioning, garage door opener, even landscaping. All they have to do is move in, drop their stuff, and get on with their lives. So it's very compelling. And a lot of buyers will opt for that versus going for a dated home that needs work. So you have to take a look at those as well. And that's why the builders have picked up over 33% of market share in the past couple of years. It used to be at 14%. So they've doubled their sales because of what they have to offer. And they have the scale to offer things like buy down of interest rates to get the buyers to sign on the dotted line. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and I'm also the host of the show, Your Real Estate Voice. And what we're talking about right now is where's the market going in 2024 and what buyers and sellers should be doing. And when we come back, we're going to talk about kind of how you should prepare for this year's market. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the current real estate market and how people can be prepared if they want to buy or sell. So tell us, what should home buyers and sellers expect and do in a market situation like this one?
Well, I think we're going to see low inventory or low available homes as the new normal for at least 10 years. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Some of it has to do with the fact that a lot of people bought with these crazy low interest rates. I've talked to people that had like 2.5% fixed for a 30-year, or even less than that for a 15-year. And so if they decide to make a move, they have to factor in the current rates, which are 3 times as high as they were back then. And in any market, no matter what's going on, buyers are going to jump on the best deals. I just had 2 properties last week that had 15 offers because they were priced well below the market, very, very realistically. And the net result was they got over asking price. So according to some of these lenders and experts out there that are looking at the statistics, I guess the answer to how's the market is it's kind of right on the line between a seller's and a buyer's market. Buyers are getting some concessions, not a lot. It really depends on the seller's motivation, but the sellers are also at the same time getting their price if the home is priced right. So if you're a buyer, don't wait for interest rates to bottom out. I would just be looking for the home that you want and jump on it right now. As we see rates go down, those homes are going to get snapped up and you'll have more competition. And if you're a seller, the best answer is be ready to position the home to be the best home on the block in your price range when you go on the market. Work on things like curb appeal, update that tired flooring, fix broken stuff, neutralize dramatic paint. And that's part of what we do. We offer a free in-home consultation with home sellers that are thinking of making a move. And basically what we do is we sit down with them, we take a look at their home, we give them tips on what to do and what not to do to get their house ready for sale, go over all the closing costs, give them a really good idea on what they will put in their pocket when it sells, and then we go from there. But picking the right team to sell your home is absolutely critical. We also will share all of our buyers. Right now, we have over 27,796 registered buyers just on my little website looking for homes. And you know what? Typically, I can match at least 100 of those to any home. We also have cash buyers. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like us to match our buyers with your home, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program and the proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing what home sellers want from their real estate agents when they're selling their house. Barb's got that answer when we come back.
Okay.
There you go.
I didn't go over on that one. Not too bad.
Not much. Hey, did you know Jimmy Page turns 80 today? I'm
Does
like,
he really?
I know I don't know if you've seen video or photographs of him recently. I'm like, that guy has aged very well.
Yeah. I'll text Mac. I knew he had a January birthday. Mine's on Thursday.
Oh, yours is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, I'll wish you a happy birthday right now.
Thank you. I'm going to go get my nails done.
I was going to say, you ought to treat yourself and
A foot massage. That's it.
I
Maybe.
think you work so hard, you deserve to be pampered. That's what I think.
80. So he's a bit older than me. I heard he was shy.
I know. You know what? I think everybody has this perception of him from all of those years with Led Zeppelin and how crazy they're supposed to be, and all these rumors of Satan worshiping and the groupies and all that stuff. But whenever you hear him talk, he is very humble and very soft spoken. I think you're right by that.
Yeah, he's just that was his expression, but he was a studio musician before he got into bands.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like he did one of the songs on James Bond,
Did
Goldfinger.
he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he played the guitar on that. In fact, he said, oh, I forget the name of the singer that did Goldfinger, but she kind of put so much emotion into it when she was singing, she passed out.
Oh my God.
And he made some comment like, okay, what do we do? She fell down,
I know I saw there's some video online, probably YouTube or something like that, where he was about 16 years old and he was on some TV show and he's got that kind of 1950s piled up, hair thing going on and just playing an acoustic guitar. I think they had something called skiffle in England at the time. And it was like, I guess it would be like the song The Rock Island Line was kind of what the sound was. And it was like a big deal in England for a while. I don't know. It's interesting.
But I think that helped him experiment because he had, as a studio musician, he had to play in different styles and genre.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right on that.
I mean,
I also think that's where he met John Paul Jones, the bass player, was a studio musician as well. And there was some talk. I was a big Jeff Beck fan. So they got together, Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck, because they'd been in the Yardbirds together. They got together and were trying to put a band together with John Entwistle from The Who and Keith Moon from The Who. And then Rod Stewart is the lead singer or something. And it didn't turn out, but
let me move this segment over.
It's amazing to me how many young people, my kids included, especially my son, really like Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah. No, it never gets old for some reason. And it's not melodic, it's not pop music, it's very creative and has a lot of strange beats and rhythms and stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Everybody didn't like the third album I wasn't heavy enough or whatever. There was so much acoustic guitar and things like that. I think his ability 1 minute to play heavy electric guitar and then to play real melodic acoustic guitar is, I don't know, pretty amazing to me. And that variety is.
I think he wrote a lot of that stuff with the singer, what's his name? I always forget.
Robert Plant.
Robert Plant, yeah. He wrote those together with him.
Yeah, and I think the third album, they kind of went out to like a cottage in the middle of nowhere for a while and no electricity and stuff like that. And that's part of the reason that, a lot of it was more acoustic sounding and stuff. But I don't know. Not everybody liked that album, but I thought it was good. I'm good to go on this one. How about you, Barb?
I'm ready.
I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with the host of the program, Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, we know that most people don't sell homes very often, only a couple times usually in life. Biggest investment for most people, though, what is that home sellers want out of their real estate agents when they do sell?
Well, right now it's a lot more of a challenge to get a home sold than it was just 2 years ago, where everything was selling with bidding wars, and it was just a matter of picking the best buyer. That was a good time for sellers, really tough for buyers. But now, since it's a more balanced market, it means that for the sellers to beat the average of 100 days on market and go through all that showing pain of dealing with, buyer after buyer, criticizing the home, the best thing to do is to make sure, and what most home sellers want is pricing advice from their agents. And they, not all of them get it. I think that's part of the problem. The higher interest rates obviously took a lot of buyers out of the market, and that had an impact on buyers' ability to perform. We're seeing much fewer volume of sales, almost 6% than we saw a year ago. We are going to see the inventory remain relatively low. So with fewer buyers being able to afford homes, what that means is fewer buyers are going to make offers. And not every buyer is going to make an offer, right? So you have to expect it's kind of a numbers game when you put your house on the market. And there are some people that might see a house go on the market and they're kind of late to the party, as if it's priced really aggressively and somebody jumps on it really fast, there's going to be somebody a week later that shows up and says, hey, what about that house? So that's what I find with some of my distress sale properties. I've got two in the past 2 weeks that had 15 offers, but it was because they priced it very, very aggressively. So I think the best thing to do, and what most home sellers really want, is they want somebody to help them solve the problem of selling their home. And the assumption always is, hey, we just put our house on the market, we put a price on it, we take pictures of it, and it's going to sell. And the fact is, not every home sells. So the number one service that home sellers want from their agents is competitive pricing, not just pricing. I mean, I've talked to thousands of home sellers, and I would say probably 99.8% want the most money, right? But they don't want the house to sit on the market for month after month after month and slowly walk the price down and have the house or the listing get stale on the market. And I know that sellers doubt those online valuations. I actually met with a seller last week, or one of my team members did, that had their home listed at this price, the same price that Zillow said it was worth, and it didn't sell, right? So she's assuming that the home is worth that much, but obviously it wasn't. So when we showed them that, hey, this obviously you've had the house on the market and that number didn't work, so you have to make a change and price it more realistically. And that's the strategy. She's like, oh, well, that makes sense. I'd be fine with that. But nobody, some of these agents don't even ask. They just come in and go, here are the comps. This is what your house is worth. Go, right? And there's no discussion back and forth, which to me is not probably not the best way to go about it, even though there's no definition or job description for real estate agents, and there is no consistency in what they do. In my view, I think everybody tries to do the best they can, but they're just not educated on what they're supposed to do to help the client meet their goals. And sellers really want to know how to price their home realistically. I'd say most of them will say, hey, I don't want to be unreasonable in my pricing. I had one a few years ago that was a very unique home, kind of up the pass in the Cascade area, when the market was starting to heat up, actually. And the agent just declared your home is worth X. So they went on the market in the summer. Just so you know, going up the pass in the mountains, that area it gets a lot more buyers viewing the area in the summer because it's so beautiful in the summer. And so all summer long, no movement at all, very few showings, no communication with the seller. And so people passed it by because it was overpriced. And a lot of people don't realize that it's not the agent that says what the house is worth. It's not the appraiser that says what the house is worth. It's actually the buyers. And you can tell that the buyers are interested based on the volume of showings that you're getting and the feedback that you're getting. You'll know within a few weeks if you miss the mark. The number two service that home sellers want from their agents is advice on what to do and what not to do to get their house ready for sale. And that's part of what we do. That's one of our services is when we meet with you, we give you a free consultation because we do this all the time. Tips on what to do and what not to do. I mean, I have people ask me, should I paint the whole house? And the paint looks fine. It's neutral. I'd say no on that. But some things that they ask me that I think might be necessary, like to make sure you deal with any deferred maintenance or broken stuff. Things that don't add value or things like a tankless water heater. They're kind of nice, but they don't make the buyer go, oh my God, I have to have the house because it has a tankless water heater. Buyers make decisions about homes on emotion. We call it the love word. And a lot of that has to do with its cosmetic appearance. And what most buyers are doing is they're improving their lifestyle. Most of them don't want to move in and make improvements themselves. What they want to do is move in, drop their stuff, and go on with their lives. So if they walk in and they see deferred maintenance or things that they have to repair, they're just going to pass it by. I just sold a home last week, which it was priced very well, but initially when we went on the market, there was some deferred maintenance in the house. It had mostly hard surface flooring on the main level and the basement, but the 3 bedrooms had old tired carpet. So showing after showing, and finally they improved the carpet and boom, right away it sold for full price. So it's amazing how these little inexpensive things can really make a difference. And then, when the house is being shown by other agents, you really don't know what the other agent is going to say about the house, right? They're walking in with this hope that they can get a home sale, but some of them, unfortunately, are not trained on really how to sell or how to help the buyer decide to make a decision about the home. I call them the sales prevention business because sometimes they do crazy things like they'll walk in a home and declare, oh, this house isn't worth that much. But they didn't know that the buyer is standing there going, I love this place. If the buyer loves it, then you should explore it further. Don't sit there and criticize it. So sometimes we'll see that on video camera. You have to expect that if you're going into anybody's house right now, you're going to be on video camera. Duh. So don't say dumb things, but they do all the time. And that's how I get this information. I actually had an agent call, and that was the premise. Well, this is priced too high. This house is not worth that much. But the feedback was the buyer loved the house. And I'm like, what are you doing? They love the house. Don't tell them it's not worth that much. Why don't you make an offer? Gosh.
That is crazy, Barb.
It's a daily thing with me. So that's part of what we do. We give advice on how to help you make that home look great cosmetically, what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale. And we do this all the time for our clients. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty here in Colorado Springs. And I'm also the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And what we're talking about is what home sellers want the most from their agents when selling their home. And when we come back, we're going to talk about why hiring an agent who has the buyers is one of the top things that you should expect from your own real estate agent. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing what home sellers want most from their agents. So what should home sellers expect from their agents in a market like this one?
Well, Richard, I would say most of them actually do expect buyers. it's kind of funny because I would say a majority of people that sell a home don't do it very often. They don't really know how it works. And the assumption is the listing agent is going to take every single buyer in the house and nobody else is. But what we do is we leverage not just our buyers, but everybody's buyers so that we get all the buyers in there, as many buyers as we can that are interested in your home so that you can have the best choices on offers on your home. That's our objectives. We want you to get the most money. And we have to do that by creating demand. And the way we create demand is we make sure that we're notifying our buyers, which we have 27,796 buyers in waiting just on our little website looking for homes. We also have 64 high net worth cash buyers. If you don't want to deal with the whole traditional sales process, we've got that. And there are also other agents that have buyers. So all those things, we're trying to motivate all of them to come and see it as soon as possible in a short period of time. That way you have more choices. The number 4, and probably one of the bigger services that I hear complaints about that sellers want from their agent
Recording in progress.
You know, I wasn't trained very well at first. I had to kind of just sink or swim and figure it out. Well, when I first started, they were just in the process of taking all the listings and putting them online so they're available to the buyers. Before that, they were not. So the way you would have to go find a house is you'd have to go get a real estate agent and they'd whip out this white looking phone book that had maybe one black and white picture of a home. And, you know, you'd say, okay, we're going to go look at this one, this one, this one. And they would take you around to look at homes. Now with everything being online, the buyers are making the decision based on the online presentation first. So as an example, just yesterday, I had a couple that was in their 80s that I was showing homes to. They had already eliminated some of the homes that I sent them. Based on the online presentation. Nope, it's too dated. Nope, I don't like that. Nope, it has this. So we narrowed it down to just a few that we would physically go and take a look at. So that's how I know that that's happening online, and you cannot create demand destruction by not really taking good care of your clients and making sure that the home is presented to the market to get the most amount of money. And the number 5 thing is just the whole process, the service. So we actually created a whole bunch of videos on the whole process of selling a home because people just don't do that very often. Number 6 is negotiations. Believe it or not, agents are not trained on negotiations, so you never know what you're going to get. You know, we are trained on that, and our goal is to get you to the finish line so everybody meets their goals in a nice manner. Let me give you a couple of examples. So one of them, the buyer was told by the lender, oh, go ahead and ask the seller for $31,000 of closing costs to be paid by the seller.
Oh my God.
That didn't go over very well. But the lender thought, oh, no big deal. That way we can get a lower interest rate and everybody's happy. I'm like, no, you're happy. My seller is not. Or on the other hand, I had an offer where they came in close to asking. I knew the seller didn't want to make much of a concession. So I asked the agent, what is more important to you? Closing, excuse me. I asked the agent, what's more important to you, to get the cash closing cost at closing or the sales price? And she goes, closing costs. I'm like, oh, okay. So we just countered back her offer, went above asking price to cover their closing cost need, and everybody's happy. That is negotiations. That's a part of negotiations, to make everybody's happy so you get to the finish line. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to get a free in-home consultation, from me or my team, what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. Go over all those closing costs, give you a really good idea of what price range your home will sell for and how much you'll put in your pocket. Go to barbhasthebuyers.com or call us at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker. She is your real estate voice and the host of the program, as well as the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the top reasons why a house is not selling and what you can do to fix it. Stay tuned for that.
Did I go too long?
No, I think we're good.
All right. I
think you'd have to really, yeah, me too.
Just a second. You're a heavy sigh.
Because I've got 3 monitors here and my mouse is crazy all the time, but it's crazy. And David gave me a great, mat for the mouse to be on. I just couldn't imagine how bad it would be if he didn't give me that. I mean,
like a mouse pad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a giant gaming mouse pad. So,
is that because I was going to say
Yeah.
it's the largest one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Nice. You think my show is interesting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what my standard is? If I'm driving around, when I listen to what you do, either on Saturday, but especially when we're recording here, I always just picture, okay, if I just randomly came across this, would I keep listening to it? And the answer for you is absolutely yes. A lot of the long form programming that I hear other times on KVOR or KOA or whatever, no, I mean, I listened about a minute or two and I'm like, no, I'm not going to sit here and I'm only in this car for 25 minutes. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this the entire time. And
Right.
your show, the answer is no, I'd keep listening. Absolutely.
Thank you. I try to make it interesting. I do a lot of research. I signed up for 2 different sets of software that give me all these really cool charts and graphs. And, I'm not a nerd, but that's about as nerdy as I get.
Well, I think it shows absolutely, how well prepared you are week after week. There's just, okay. I've got a clock. I got a producer. I'm ready to go. How about you, Barb?
I'm ready.
I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Colorado Springs Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker, your home sold guaranteed realty. Now, Barb, with higher rates and fewer buyers that can afford a home, I would think that there are quite a few home sellers who have homes that are not selling. So, what are the reasons they're not selling? And more importantly, what can be done about it?
Well, Richard, I want to approach the subject kind of starting with big picture, only because that gives people an idea of what's going on. The reality is that right now, pending home sales are down by 6% in this local market. And I do a lot of research about like national sales and real estate. I've got all kinds of graphs and bells and whistles that I can look at. And I watch a different video blogs and opinions about what's going on in the market. But at the end of the day, real estate is always very local. This is a very nice place to live, and people are moving here because of that. However, it's all about affordability. I just helped one gentleman search for rentals, just doing a quick online search. When he found out we got a contract on this home, he's like, oh my God, I gotta move quick. But I was surprised when I looked at what was available for rent, how expensive it was. I mean, it's really an expensive place to live for sure. So pending sales are down, I think mostly because of affordability, and that, people's incomes haven't risen to the point where, it's really very affordable. And it was when the rates are down. Another very important leading indicator are interest rates. So if interest rates drop, and they fluctuate every day of the week, a little bit here and there, but right now they're at 6.75% for a 30-year fixed. So if we see it drop down in the low 6s into the 5s, we're going to see homes get snapped up. And you'll probably see more home sellers put their homes on the market, because then maybe at that lower rate, it'd be more affordable for them to improve their lifestyle. So what we're seeing right now is a lot of the home sellers have interest rates on their current mortgages that are really, really low, 2.5%, 2.25%, 3%, whatever it is. And they're not moving, because if they do move, then they're going to have to pay much higher, triple the interest rates to go improve their lifestyle for the next house that they're going to move to. We call that golden handcuffs. So I don't think they're going to move a whole lot, maybe slightly more than what we saw last year. But homeowners basically are sitting on these lower rates, kind of waiting for something to change as well. So that is helping current home sellers right now. But if you don't have the house prepared, the buyers are not going to make a commitment without being all in on your home. The other thing, I got a quote from a asset manager I used to work for. Now, what that term means is, back during the meltdown, I helped a lot of different asset management companies sell homes that were taken back in foreclosure. I still work for one right now. It's the asset management company for the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. And there's a few of those. It's a low percentage, thankfully, maybe 1% or less of the homes that are taken back in foreclosure. And many times those homes are very much cosmetically challenged. But the one thing they get right is how to price a home correctly. That's one thing that they know very, very well. And they typically price it very realistically, even below realistically, to make sure it sells in 30 days. But I got a bit of advice from one of them once, and he goes, look, you're my boots on the ground, my eyes in the market. I can't see that house. I can see the pictures you took. But if you see that the carpet looks bad, you need to tell me. I need to hear about it. And you need to whack off 4 to 7 times the cost of that carpet on your opinion of value, because that's what a buyer's going to pay. If the carpet's bad, they're just not even going to make an offer unless the home is priced very, very realistically. And in my opinion, you only get one shot to make an impression with a buyer. They're in, they're out, they're done, right? So all the stars have to align to get your home sold. You have to be prepared properly. You have to price it right, and it has to be promoted right just to get them in the door. But doing some research on affordability right now, I think the average household income up in the Denver area is probably about $20,000 a year higher than the Pikes Peak region, which is $93,000. So, home prices probably $540 is a median home price. Median rent, though, very high, almost $2,200 a month. So right now, though, if you go buy a house where the average price is $540, your payment for sure is going to be higher than $2,200 a month. I know, because we just bought one in another market to help our son. We partnered up on a house, and our payment's $2,200 a month, and we only borrowed $243,000. So it's going to be higher than that. So we're in a situation now where rent is basically less than owning, and they have to really want to buy a home to make it happen. So some of the things that could imply what the future trends are going to be in this market are the increasing of available homes. So if the supply starts kicking up a little bit, we could see some more sales going on. If the rates drop any, we're going to see more sales go on. And so what we're going to cover when we come back are the top things that you can do if your house is not selling. And right now we're talking about the reasons why houses are not selling. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900, or you can visit barbhasthebuyers.com, fill out any one of those forms. We will get it, and we will respond with our direct phone numbers. And part of what we do, if you're ready to sell, is a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale. We'll share with you our 27,796 plus buyers, of which at least 100 of them are a high match for your home, and then give you a really good idea on what your home will sell for in that range and how much you'll put in your pocket. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the why a house may not be selling issue. And we know the rising interest rates mean fewer buyers can afford the higher payments. But what are some of the other reasons why a house might just not be selling?
Well, Richard, like I said, I study a lot of different people that are data people. Most of them are kind of looking on a national scale. But what I like to look at are the local statistics. So pending sales are kind of a leading indicator of where we're going. And in 2023, we saw a lot fewer pending sales than we did the previous years. I think that's going to be higher this year. I just feel it. Election year, I think the rates are going to come down a little bit. And we're going to see some more buyers. So I think we're going to be seeing some activity pick up. But the problem is mortgage demand, even though they dropped the rates last month by 0.5 point, are down by 9.5%, right? So it didn't create more demand when they dropped the rate from just over 7 to the upper 6s. I think they're going to have to go into the low 6s to really get some attention. Mortgage applications are down. Buyer sentiment is probably at the lowest level ever. Only 14% of consumers think it's a good time to buy a home. That's terrible. and 85% think it's a bad time. So the sellers right now are only competing for 14 or 15% of those buyers out there, right? Because the rest of them are going to sit on the sideline and wait and see what happens. So if your house is not selling right now, you can partially blame the market and the interest rates. That absolutely has a factor. But if you need to sell in the next few months, there are some things that you can do. So one of the things that I think that you should be looking at is take a really critical look at things like the pictures. Now, have your very bold, unafraid aunt or uncle or family member just go pretend you've never seen my home before, look at the pictures and tell me, if you're a buyer, what would you think? That's what I would do. The person that won't hesitate to tell you exactly what they think, those are the ones that you want to ask that question of. Because if they don't like the pictures, there's going to be a whole bunch of other buyers that you will never know about that decided not to come see your home just over the pictures. That's a marketing mistake. That's an agent mistake, and it needs to be fixed. Also, look at the competition. Look at the condition of your home. Little improvements like a little bit of carpet. I have another client that had the original carpet, and initially I tried to talk him into, I said, maybe we should replace the carpet. It's the original, dark color. It looks kind of old and tired. Nah, I'll just give a discount. And it just didn't work. Buyers go in and they look at it and the feedback is, oh, it needs too much work. Oh, I found something I like better, And so if that's the kind of feedback you're getting, you need to make some improvements to make it look fresh and move in ready. And then, of course, pricing is absolutely probably the most critical decision you will make. And the market is going to tell you if you got it wrong. Don't panic if you're less than 100 days on the market. We just came off a period where back in October, the rates were as high as over 8%. Then they went down to 7 and stayed there for a month. Then they went down to 6.75. They've been there for a couple of weeks. And in the midst of all that, we had the holidays. So take a breath, and then take a really objective look at your home and look at the number of showings. Volumes of showings are going to tell you a lot. If you're getting 2 to 5 to 6 or more showings a week, you're doing good. If you're getting onesies, twosies, you got a problem. Something's wrong. You didn't price it right. If you're getting very few showings, you're 3 to 5% off, or you have a marketing problem. If you're getting plenty of showings, showing after showing after showing, but no offer, you probably got a condition problem, okay? Or a slight price problem, either one or both. In the one that I just sold, we did not change the price. We changed the condition. Boom, we got full price. And then if you're getting offers, you're right on target. Stay there, just pick the right buyer. So that's how the market tells you. It's not the appraiser that tells you. It's not Zillow that tells you. It's the market that tells you whether or not your home is going to sell. But absolutely take a critical look at pictures, competition, condition, feedback. What are the agents saying? What are their buyers saying about the house? And I'm just going to walk through what I call a lightning round of why a home would not sell. Number 1, is price too high? Number 2, it needs too much work or updating. Over 41% of buyers won't even look at a house that looks like it needs updating. Number 3, bad marketing or staging. Number 4, the home has no curb appeal. We had a house a few years ago that one of my agents sold that it was identical to the one down the street that had a bidding war in the hot market, but the curb appeal was bad and the pictures were bad. And she finally convinced her buyer to go look at this house, and it was way nicer than the one that had bidding wars. It just had bad marketing. So number 5 is poorly photographed home. Floor plan, you can't do anything about other than try to either virtually or in person stage it, so they kind of overlook those things. Not being move-in ready is another critical thing that's very important. And then if you don't know what the buyers that are looking at your home are saying, if you don't know what that feedback is, that's a mistake too. Most agents are brutally honest with their feedback in most cases, or they're asking questions. And if they're asking questions, it should be explored further. And last, but second to last is any kind of odors. So if you live in the house, you may not notice odors, but I can tell you that other people will notice odors that you may not be able to smell. So bring over your aunt that is brutally honest with you, have her walk in the door and go, do you smell anything? Okay. And it could be good or bad. Like if you overwhelm the room with strong candles or those air fresheners, there is an assumption that you're hiding some smell. The one smell that always works are baking cookies. If you have the time to do that before showings, that's really good. But you know, having a bad odor, pet odor, whatever, cooking odors, those have to be resolved. I had a broker that had a saying. His saying was, if you could smell it, you can't sell it. I always thought that was funny, but it's true. And then make sure your buyers have an emotional attachment to your home. You do that by, don't show it vacant, you know, have them come in and visualize themselves living there. That's how it works, because buyers do buy on emotion. So, and also don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion. If your agent is not getting you a lot of showings and offers, there is something wrong, okay? And you won't be violating your agreement if you ask for a second opinion. It's okay to do that. My name is Barb Schlinker, and if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to have an in-home consultation on what to do and what not to do to get the most money for your home, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program and the owner proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the top things that sellers just love to get from buyers in offers, plus Barb's hot new listings. You want to hear those.
Went a little long. Sorry.
Well, you got a lot to say. I mean, seriously. I mean, all right, let me do this.
I don't know if that made any sense.
Oh, it totally did. Nope. I especially like that, you know, what was the list of 11 things or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I am ready. How about you, Barb?
I'm ready.
All right. Born ready, as they say. 3, 2, 1. Whoops. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with the host of the program, Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, with many buyers facing competing offers when they buy homes, what are the top 8 things that sellers just love to get from buyers in offers?
Well, Richard, I would say they want the best price, the most money. They want to be able to move when they want to move. They want the least amount of hassle. They want to sell their home as is. And unfortunately, you know, most agents aren't necessarily skilled at negotiating. They're kind of messengers. So sometimes it's hard to nudge people to actually put the deal together. So I think those 4 things, having a good negotiator, having somebody that has your back, that really works towards your goals, is absolutely critical. And occasionally you'll have buyers that can waive the appraisal if they're getting a loan. So the only time you need an appraisal is when you're getting a loan. If you're paying cash, you don't need one. But sometimes if the buyer's putting huge down payments, the lenders may not require one. If the buyer's getting a VA loan, they will require one anyway. And either with FHA or VA, what happens on those appraisals is they will ask for things to be repaired. So I just had a seller go through kind of a double whammy. They had a handful of things to fix on the inspection, and then the appraiser came along and said, well, for me to say that the house meets the loan guidelines, you got to do this and this and this. So they got really busy towards closing. We tried to help them as much as possible, but basically, if you can know about those things in advance and be prepared for it, that's the best case scenario. But if not, if it's a surprise, then, and if they're waiving the appraisal, it's a nice, comfortable thing. I'll give you an example. I sold a house last year where we had two of the highest offers. And I was explaining to him, you know, there was one buyer that was cash that was at 700. There was another buyer that offered like 730, but we would have to prove the value with an appraisal. In other words, a third party would have to come in and agree that the home is worth 730. Well, it was a little tricky on proving that value. We had some similar sales were down at 640, some at 7. It was like, I don't know for sure if they would approve that value. It's possible, but not 100% surety. And so the seller's response to that, he looked at me and he goes, it seems like you're just wrestling around in the mud until it's all over and then you close. Is that right? I said, it's pretty much like that. Yes. So a lot of sellers don't like the uncertainty when it comes to selling a home. So, but unfortunately, the buyers, they can tie up a property and they have all this time and opportunity to do what they call their due diligence. So they can do an inspection and ask for stuff. They can do an appraisal and ask for stuff. I recently had one that asked for a new roof only because the roof was more than 10 years old. So the seller went and got two roofers to look at the home. Both roofers said, no, this roof is great. I don't know why they're asking for a new roof. And it was because their insurance company said, oh, we won't cover this house unless the roof is less than 10 years old. Well, the seller doesn't have to replace the roof just because of this insurance company. So we basically said, go get another one. There's other insurance companies out there. You know, so sometimes, you know, crazy stuff happens in negotiations. So if you don't have to worry about those things, sellers are usually most happy. Sometimes buyers will put in offers if they're up against competition and they'll waive inspection objection. Now, those are really nice. I don't get those very often, but when I do it, it gives the seller a huge warm fuzzy. In other words, I had one buyer that came in and made an offer and said, we will take the house at this price as is. We're going to do an inspection, but we're not going to ask you to fix anything. And that's exactly what happened. And everybody was happy in the end. It was just a happy ending. So those are good. That makes the process a lot more fun. The other thing that sellers love to get from buyers are if they want to occupy the home after closing, if they can get time to stay in the home after closing, either rent it back or something like that, then a lot of sellers really, really appreciate that, because let's say they're not ready to move out of the area immediately at closing. Maybe they need a month or so. If we can negotiate those things, or a week even, it makes their life a lot easier. I just closed one where it was a 4-way deal. So buyer from Arizona is buying a house in the Powers Corridor, that's buying a house in Banning Lewis Ranch, that's buying a house in the northeast part of town. So all these dominoes had to fall just right. And of course, the second domino failed because the loan didn't come through for some reason. So we had to wait a couple days. Well, we had negotiated that they could stay in the house a couple days and move because they needed their house to close before they could move into the next one. So it kind of stopped that fall of dominoes, waiting for that to get resolved. So there's a lot of coordination, negotiations that goes on with stuff like that. And you want to make sure you have a really strong agent to help you when those things are happening. Another thing that sellers love to get from buyers, of course, they love to get cash, but some buyers think that making a cash offer means that they get a discount. And I honestly don't think that's true. It's all cash to the seller at closing, right? They all get money at closing regardless. The only difference between a cash and non-cash is that you don't have to worry about an appraisal or a loan process going through. Another thing that sellers love getting from buyers is if the buyer makes an offer and it's not contingent on that buyer selling another home. That is a ball and chain that many buyers and sellers don't like dealing with because it puts a big amount of uncertainty into the process. Now, there are some contingencies, they call them sale contingencies, that are okay. It depends on the market environment. Maybe their house that's under contract is going to close in a few weeks. Maybe their past inspection appraisal. Maybe the home that they're selling is very sellable and it's going to sell really fast. So that's why communication in those kind of scenarios is absolutely critical, that we talk about, okay, let's take a look at the home that they're selling. How viable is it to sell? I've suggested to sellers that they turn away offers where they come and say, oh, it's contingent on my house selling. This is the price we're going to market the home at. And I look at similar sales around there and I'm like, I think it's priced too high. Just looking at similar sales, I don't know how you can make that happen. So no, but once you get a contract, then we can talk. Let's see, another thing they don't like from buyers necessarily. A lot of people are concerned about getting a buyer that's getting a new VA loan. So a VA loan means that the borrower served in the military and they have their entitlement to use their VA eligibility, of which they can buy a home for millions of dollars with zero down. I mean, it's really a cool loan. But if they are not putting any money down, what we have to do is make sure that we're taking a look at the price that they're offering, that we could substantiate it to an appraisal, because it would have to have price, it would have to appraise in order to be sold at that loan amount, basically. Basically, when the VA loans 100% of the agreed upon sales price, we have to substantiate that price with similar sales. So that's part of what we do in our process with sellers. We take a look at similar sales every step of the way. We look at it when we're talking about pricing out of the gate. We look at it when we get offers. We look at it when it's time for the appraiser to look at the home. We look at it all the way because we want to make sure that we have a successful sale and closing. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and I've been here in this market since 1996. And I'm also the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And what we're talking about are some of the things that home sellers really love to get from buyers' offers. And then the next step, we're going to talk just a little short section about things to watch out for when you get offers and before you accept them. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900. We give a free service of an in-home consultation on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. We'll go over all the closing costs, give you a really good idea what your home will sell for and how much you'll put in your pocket. Call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the top things that sellers just love to get from buyers' offers. So what are some other things that give sellers the confidence to accept that offer?
Well, one thing that we want to see, and it's funny, I just found out by doing some continuing education that there is no obligation on behalf of the real estate agent to verify that the buyer has the ability to get a loan. Did you know that? Even after they make an offer.
Amazing. No, I did not know that.
It's not required by the state.
Geez.
That's why we see what I call these Pop-Tart agents. That just meet them at the house. And if they like it, great. If they want to make an offer, great. Oh, go call a lender and see if you qualify. And in all this time, you're tying up the house. So nobody likes that if you're a home seller. They want confidence going in that the buyer has the ability to perform. Now, the good news is in most cases, when I get offers on my listings, they are including with it a pre-approval letter and or proof of funds, right? Because that will tell me. I had one deal that fell apart because basically the buyer didn't qualify for a loan. They looked at two different lenders and then they terminated. And I just think they didn't qualify. But, you know, in the meantime, they tied up the house for 3 weeks. So that's not fair to the sellers. I recommend every buyer get fully pre-approved before they go out shopping. It's almost like shopping with cash. when you do that. So it's an advantage to the buyer, and it certainly is a comfort level for the seller. Another thing that's really important is that buyers want the house, right? But they also want certainty that it's going to go through. And there are certain things that not everybody knows about. A quick example would be if they're getting a VA loan, the VA does require that if the property has a well, you have to do a bacteria test on the well and check for leads and other metals. Well, when you do that, it takes weeks and weeks. And if the agents haven't done it very much, even though we told them in the counter, you have to make sure you get this test done, they forgot and it delayed the closing. It just makes things not go very smoothly. So you need an agent that has some experience that knows about these things so that there's no surprises in the process, because everybody wants their move to go smoothly. And if you are thinking of making a move, that is absolutely what we do. We give tips on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready, give you a good idea what your home will sell for, and go over all the cost when it sells. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com if you'd like that free in-home consultation. Richard?
Barb, this is the favorite time of your program. You've got some hot new listings. Tell us about them.
I do. Beautiful, almost new 2-story on Nash Drive, priced in the low 4s. Really pretty home. Another great home on 35 acres out on Powers Road, East Fountain, with a big detached 2-car garage. A beautiful 2-story, move-in ready on 10874 Lavanya Place, priced in the mid-4s. Also have a really adorable townhome in Briargate on Smoke Tree in the low 3s. Really great ranch with a nice big basement on Brundage, and new carpet, new furnace, new roofs, got new everything in the low 4s. And also 213 Cunningham. This gorgeous rancher also has an RV garage and a 2-car garage on a ½ acre in the mid 4s. An amazing raised rancher on Palma Valley in Gleneagle in the upper 6s that backs to open space that'll never be built on. And then a fabulous home on Gull Lane on 5 acres out in Peyton. This home has solar, a detached garage. It actually has multi-generational living with the main level master suite upstairs, and a huge basement. And then we've got this spectacular home on Winding Hills Drive in Monument. Really beautiful scenic home in the low 8s. And a couple more sneak peeks coming up. Open this weekend, 9145 Pastime Place. That one's priced in the mid 4s. And another beautiful home on Sonoma Drive in the low 2s. And then we also have one more property coming up on Blue River Way, and that one's priced in the low 4s. So to find out about all of our listings, go to barbhasthebuyers.com, click on the little property that features our homes, the link that features our homes right there on the website, or give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday, 11 o'clock, right after Kudlow. And if you're thinking making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And you can see replays of the show on Barb's YouTube channel, Barb Has the Buyers, or listen to the podcast on all of the podcast platforms, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and many, many others. Thanks for listening. And to reach Barb, call 719-301-3900. Have a great week. Barb, so good talking to you. We'll talk next week.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.